Hello, and thank you for joining us for this Tuesday talk. My name is Jen Chaney. I'm the Vice President of Franchise Development for Right at Home. I'm going to be interviewing my friend Doug here in just a moment. And Doug, I will let you introduce yourself here in just a second. But before we get started, a couple housekeeping items to cover first. So for those of you who have joined this webinar live, we love audience participation. So either depending on how your Zoom screen is set up, either at the top or bottom of your Zoom screen, there should be a Q&A button. So if you click on that, a little box pops up and you can type in a question. There's even a little box that you can click that says anonymous. If you don't want me to see your name, totally fine. If you want to keep that confidential, up to you. But either way, we love questions. It really creates a much more genuine conversation with better flow and relevant, questions to the topics that Doug and I are discussing. So don't be afraid to type in a question. We love audience participation. And for those of you who are joining us on a recorded basis, thank you for watching. Okay, so Doug, if you would please introduce yourself to our listeners.
Sure, thanks, Jen. It's a pleasure to be here to talk to folks that are interested in right at home and delivering care for seniors and veterans and the disabled. It's just such a wonderful field and purpose to consider as you choose your life's work. My name is Doug Robertson. I'm the Senior Director of Government Affairs here at Right at Home. And on my team, I have Ginger Guilfoyle and Melissa Long. And the three of us help franchisees across the country understand regulatory requirements, home care license requirements, pursue government contracts to get reimbursed by state and federal governments for the deliverance of home care for seniors and veterans. And we also help our franchise owners understand how to communicate with policymakers at the state and federal level and help them to be connected with other home care agency owners in their state, whether that's the Right at Home brand or other brands, as they engage in their membership with the Home Care Association of America. As many of the folks on this call probably have realized, home care has grown in significance tremendously over the last 20 or so years. We saw advancement of that, an acceleration of that significance with the pandemic, as many folks wanted to stay at home more than ever and receive care at home. Home care was very much in demand while the rest of the country shut down. It seemed like home care was on steroids in the pandemic, in a good way for the most part. And I think that demand has continued, that interest has continued. Policymakers have really made a lot of concessions and changes at the federal and state level to accommodate the growing interest in home care. Right at Home seeks to stay abreast of all of those changes and developments by participating in different organizations and associations, such as what you see on my background, the Home Care Association of America, Moving Health Home, to try to advance the interests of home care.
Okay, so you already answered my first question, which was going to be like, how on earth do you really educate yourself on everything that is happening when it comes to regulations in the home care space? As anybody who has joined this call is working with one of our development directors, understanding Right at Home, but not only Right at Home, but home care in general. It's no secret, and as it should be, it's a highly regulated business, because you're caring for seniors and adults with disabilities, so there should be regulations in place. But each state is different, each one has their own kind of different rules and regulations, and really just kind of generally, how do you stay current on all of those things? Let's start there, and then kind of a second half, in what manner do you keep our franchise owners up to speed on all of those rules and regulations? Let's start with those two big hitting questions
Sure.
right out of the gate.
Well, I've been engaged in government relations work for over 25 years. Ginger Guilfoyle on our team has been doing this work for about as long. Melissa Long has been in the long-term care industry and quality of care for several years. Prior to being in the home care industry, I did government relations at the state, federal, international level for the food, beverage, and consumer product industry,
Yep.
which is much more regulated, obviously, than home care.
Yep.
So we have a lot of experience with tracking diverse initiatives and requirements. The three of us spend a lot of time reading, a lot of time talking to colleagues and policymakers and their staff to stay abreast of things. We also have contracts with vendors. There is a large law firm that provides information about labor law that we contract with and franchisees can engage. We also have a vendor that assists with the more routine parts of licensure applications
Yep.
and getting franchise applicants through the licensure process in the 33 states that require a license. Although we still have great understanding here at the corporate office and stay abreast of all those things. But we have some vendor support that we outsource to. We also have another vendor that we use for policies and procedures and other documents that franchisees might need to stay in compliance. So between the three of us, our depth and breadth of experience, our constant work, vigilance, and advocacy, as well as vendor relations, I feel like we have a pretty good hand and finger on the pulse of everything that is needed.
I agree. I agree completely. And you mentioned something earlier about, okay, so let me back up a little bit. So in addition to all of those things, when a Right at Home franchise owner joins Right at Home, they've just opened their doors. They're starting with personal care, companion care. Eventually, a franchise owner may want to graduate onto specialized nursing services. But let's talk about government contracts and what that looks like. So in addition to all those things that I just mentioned, you and your team assist our franchise owners with those government contracts. So I want you to elaborate a little bit more on what a government contract is, and maybe those that are listening right now, if they join the Right at Home system, how they can participate and that level of care, if you will, if they're interested and if their state allows it.
Sure. Well, there's a great need for ongoing assistance with activities of daily living, or ADLs. We also call it personal care. And that service, it's particularly, is what really allows family members to continue in their pursuits of employment, activities, or raising children. And so ADL support is really what folks need to continue with their lives while knowing that a loved one is cared for at home.
Yep.
And so there are government reimbursement opportunities where a home care agency can contract with a government entity, get reimbursed for the support of ADLs to provide care to someone. Some examples of that, it could be a Medicaid waiver program in a state, which could be either statewide or it could be regional. It could be run by the state directly. Oftentimes, it's run by an insurance company, which is called an MCO, a managed care organization, that is contracting with the state to develop a network of providers. And then through that Medicaid program, the home care agency is reimbursed for the provision of Medicaid home care services, which is usually called HCBS, Home and Community-Based Services. I will tell you that for some franchisees, they find that the reimbursement for Medicaid in their area isn't worth the effort. There are frequent cancellations, call-offs, and other struggles with scheduling for Medicaid services, so they don't pursue it.
Yep.
There's probably several states where it's worthwhile, but those are the things to weigh,
Yeah.
And whenever you're dealing with the government, it's challenging. So you want to balance the reimbursement, the administrative effort with the ROI.
Yep. Okay, got it. So let's talk about all of the work that you do to support our veterans and what that looks like and how franchise owners can take advantage of that.
Yep. So the VA outsources its home care network to the VA Community Care Network, which is run by Optum in the East, TriWest in the West, and Right at Home has an understanding of the process to get into that network, an understanding of how the referrals flow, the billing, the claims, reimbursement, We enjoy a relationship with the leadership at TriWest and Optum, and we also communicate regularly with VA leadership. We participate in the VA Advisory Council, which I chair for the Home Care Association of America. And I serve really as the point of contact for the home care industry for VA, TriWest, and Optum. And so that allows us to have a great feel and understanding for how that network operates. So we'll help a franchisee after they get their state license in a state that requires a license to apply for a contract with the VA Community Care Network. I will tell the folks, though, on this call that that network is quite mature, and there's usually a wait list to get into that network, and there is no promise of referral volume, but we do know what the process is to get someone teed up so that when an opening appears and there's a referral to be issued, we put the right home franchisees in the best place possible.
Yep, got it. Okay. So let's go back to kind of the beginning. When a franchise owner signs their franchise agreement, they're officially a franchise owner. One of the very first things, as you mentioned, 33 states have a license. Some, obviously the others do not, but it's recommended as soon as you sign your franchise agreement, if it's a licensure state, that you apply for your license in that state. So let's talk a little bit about what that support looks like for just initial licensure application, as well as support ongoing when you're in a licensure state.
Yeah, so at Discovery Day, we'll have a presentation about what the licensure requirements are in that state so that the prospect has full awareness and understanding of some of the more heavier items. Some states have experience or education requirements for the administrator. They might require a nurse for a supervisory role. We'll help them to understand the length of time it takes to get a license based upon historical averages. And then once they sign the franchise agreement, then we will connect them with our vendor that will walk them through how to complete the application, submit the application, and then fulfill any other requirements thereafter that might include an in-office survey, policy and procedure review. And we'll do everything that's necessary to help that franchisee to get through that process.
Okay, got it. And a question came in while you were answering that question. It says, do licenses have to be renewed every year? If so, how difficult is that?
In most states, there is a renewal of the license because one, the state wants to know if the agency is continuing in operation. There is oftentimes the belief that most agencies will contract with Medicaid, so the state wants to know about its provider capacity for the purpose of knowing how the Medicaid community will be supported. And thirdly, of course, the government wants their money, and so they'll have a renewal fee attached to that license. It's usually not a difficult process to renew a license.
Yes. Okay. And as far as initial application, you and I both know each state is different on the license. The states that require a license, each state is different on how long it takes to process that license. It looks like we have a listener who is interested in franchising in the state of Virginia and is asking, do you have a recent time frame for getting a license in the state of Virginia?
Our license vendor works with Right at Home as well as other applicants, and their trend right now in Virginia is about 5 months from the date the complete application is submitted to when the license is received.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then kind of backtracking a little bit, when we were talking about VA, this question came in. Do the majority of franchise owners in the Right at Home system participate in the VA program?
About 85% of our network is in the VA's network.
Okay, got it. And so this question just came in, and I can take a stab at this answer. It says, is there a fee from your licensed vendor? So when you join the Right at Home system, you obviously pay your franchise fee, but there are some associated fees that you would pay as part of basically onboarding into the Right at Home system, kind of bundled into a support or software or sometimes technology bundle, which your development director can explain it to you, but you will pay an initial fee once you join the Right at Home system. And one of the things that goes towards is assistance with applying for your license and even the ongoing support.
Actually, no, not for the license application. For the policies and procedures at a future date, there'll be an additional fee, but not for the licensure support. That is included.
Okay, so this specific question says, is there a fee from your licensed vendor? So no, you're not paying the vendor, but what I am saying is this bundle fee that you would pay as part of ongoing licensure support, not necessarily to the vendor, but to us. We will provide you that additional licensure support and even the support that Doug provides. That is something that is included in that. So as far as like an ongoing initial, like you have to pay the vendor for this support, you are correct. You don't pay for that, as well as, I mean, you will pay for the actual application of the license. There is a fee associated with for when you apply for your license. Do want to make that clear, but hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so a couple more questions have come in. I had a few questions of my own that I'm crossing off my list here. This question says, how does the corporate office assist franchisees in navigating compliance and regulatory requirements?
Sounds like a broad question. There's a couple of different
Yeah.
ways that we do that. I mean, one, we have our own knowledge and understanding of a host of things. There are various websites, regulatory bodies, and also our understanding of the statutes and regulations that answer a host of questions. We also know how to get in touch with folks at state licensure offices, and we can also do some research on our own. We have a law firm that we contract with for employment law related questions regarding sick time or vacation leave, overtime rules. And we defer those questions to the labor law attorney as they stay abreast of that rapidly changing environment. So there really is a combination of ingredients to fulfill that need.
Okay, got it. Thank you. And this is kind of in addition to that question. Maybe you can elaborate more. It says, can you share some examples of how the corporate office has helped franchisees overcome some of these challenges?
Well, I can say that in the 10 years that I've been doing this, we've never had a franchise applicant for licensure that didn't get their license. So we have a track record of success. I can't think of anyone that didn't get a government contract either that was pursuing that. So I don't think that there's much of a fail rate as it comes to understanding what the government requirements are.
Okay, got it. All right. And so, what is your recommendation for franchise owners who want to, brand new franchise owner, of course, getting their business established with personal care, companion care? Should they wait before they start to really tap into the VA or Medicaid waiver, or does it just depend on the state that you're in? What is your recommendation on if they should wait to do that, or is that something that they should apply for right away?
I think because the VA network is so mature and there's usually a wait list or a lengthy period of time before the provider would get contract with a TPA, it's probably wise to at least make the effort to apply for that once the state license is obtained, because it may be quite some time before the contract process resolves and referrals are flowing in. I think the question is really geared towards, am I taking out a lot of administrative burden with the network? And while there would be additional administrative burden with the VA, I don't think it's heavy. It can be heavier with Medicaid, but in terms of the VA, I think it's going to be some time before you see referrals. So you'll have time to get your feet underneath you as a new home care agency owner before starting VA work. For Medicaid, that spigot can turn on fairly quickly once you get into that Medicaid network. And so I think you do want to be sensitive to having some time to gain understanding of hiring, recruiting, marketing to private pay resources before you engage in Medicaid work as a young agency.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So if I were to ask you the question, what does the future of home care look like to you, Doug, in your role when it comes to rules and regulations and everything that's happening with the economy and the administration? How would you generally answer that question, the future of home care, with it, today being Tuesday, April 1st, 2025? What does the rest of the year look like? any recent changes that are going on or things that are coming up in the pipeline that you want to call to everyone's attention?
Well, I'm bullish on home care and optimistic about our future in terms of government contracting and reimbursement. One new benefit is a new Medicare benefit called Guide, and anyone on this call can Google that. CMS created the new guide for benefit for dementia beneficiaries and original Medicare to support not just the beneficiary, but also the family members that are burdened with caring for someone with dementia. This is a new benefit that was rolled out in 2023 and it started in 2024. It's going to increase in velocity in July this year. And Right at Home has national partnerships to take full advantage of the opportunity to provide assistance with ADLs as well as have a way to channel clinical support to our current clients, future clients, and really develop strong relationships with referral sources as a Guide partner. So I think Guide is just one example of the ways that the government recently has been trying to figure out how to create more opportunities for assistance with ADLs while not breaking the government's bank, because it could
Yeah.
get very expensive very quickly. But this is a tailored approach with some guardrails around it that I think is highly effective and beneficial for home care agency owners.
Okay, got it. Okay, we have covered a lot on this call. I've made like a whole page of notes. So just want to call out a few things that you bring to the table to help our franchise owners. They include your expertise on home care regulations, assistance with government contracts, staying current on all of the rules and regulations, a very tenured team of individuals that are very well educated and ready to help and assist our franchise owners. Everything with VA contracts, Medicaid waiver, policies and procedures. Can't remember if I mentioned contracts with vendors. See, the list is so long, I'm losing track on everything that I've already mentioned. So I can only speak for Right at Home. I can't speak for others, but you are an incredible resource to our franchise owners, ongoing support, as well as the feedback that I've received for brand new franchise owners who join the Right at Home system, how much you help and assist with them getting their business off the ground and with these additional, partnerships that they can take advantage of. That without you and these connections that you have and Right at Home, it would be pretty difficult and challenging to do. Certainly somebody can go out on their own and do this, but I suppose I'm really just trying to emphasize the importance of being part of a franchise system and having a resource like you to help and assist with starting up a business from scratch and taking advantage of these additional opportunities. Anything that you want to add to that?
Well, I think you're right. It's a very scary thing to start a new venture and then to deal with the implications of what the government is going to expect and require,
Yeah.
and the challenges with pursuing any type of government contracting reimbursement opportunity. It's daunting. I cannot imagine trying to do that on your own.
I know. You and I are partial, Doug, because we work for Right at Home or we're part of a franchise system. It terrifies me. Somebody, can you imagine going out there and doing this on your own?
Yeah.
Again, it can be done, but I wouldn't want to do it. Like, why not join Right at Home? You've got these resources to help you, right? I know I'm preaching to
Right.
the choir here.
And we enjoy
Um,
doing it.
yes, that's right. That's right. And another thing I do want to add is that again, I keep saying like rules and regulations, that sounds so scary, but that's the reality, right? So it's not like we're here to say, darn it, you've got to follow the rules and, these are the rules. And like, that's not our intent here. Like, we are here to help and support you because we know the rules, we know the regulations, and we're here to educate our franchise owners on those things and support them the best that we can with all of the resources and knowledge that we have to support them. Okay, so this question came in. As I was rambling on. It says, does the corporate office support does the process look different if I'm buying a resale business versus a new territory? So I suppose this question is just asking, okay, I'm a new territory buyer versus a resale buyer, and how does the support look different for both of those opportunities?
you know, we support the same for a buyer of an existing agency as we would a new de novo operation. The support is different in the sense that there's a different process,
Yep.
but the support, the effort, the intellect that we bring to the table is all the same. It's not discounted at all because it is an existing agency.
Yes, that's right. And I'll add on to that. As a new territory buyer, you're assisting those buyers with, okay, so you got to submit your new application while you're going through the Right Start onboarding process, is what we call that onboarding phase that you go through when you're starting a business from scratch. And so it's a brand new application for a resale opportunity. Sometimes you have to apply for a new license and get your license in hand before you can take over that business. Some states don't allow what we call a management agreement, in which you can use the seller's license and operate under that license until you obtain your own license. Again, some states allow that, some don't, but we can educate you on if that applies to you in your specific state or not. But you're absolutely right. The education is the same. It's just the process looks a little bit different from a brand new territory versus a resale opportunity. Okay. All right. So we just have a few minutes left, Doug. Is there anything, because I think I could talk to you for like another hour and we still wouldn't cover, if not more, and we still wouldn't cover anything or everything. But is there anything that we didn't cover in the last 30 minutes, knowing that this audience is full of people who are thinking about joining the Right at Home system? Is there anything that you would like to add that we haven't talked about already?
Quite a bit of the support that we provide is on the front end of the home care agency life cycle, getting the license, understanding the license requirements, getting the contracts, understanding the requirements. Something that I think that any home care agency owner wants to carry on throughout the life of their agency is the importance of advocacy and engagement in the public sphere with policymakers about the importance of home care, the necessity for considering the rising costs of home care, and what policymakers need to understand when they're making decisions that have an impact on your clients, on your business operations, and on the ability that you have to hire caregivers. I think policymakers need to understand that. So having engagement with other agency owners in your state, Home Care Association of America chapter, participating in fly-ins, webinars regarding advocacy, I think that needs to really be part of any home care agency owner business plan.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because we have so many existing right at home owners who engage exactly as you just described, and they've made such an impact on the home care business in general because their voice is heard. And without that, there have been some pretty significant changes and improvements that have been made because our franchise owners have a voice and because they do speak up. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, to stay engaged and to have your voice be heard because they do listen. So thank you
Yes.
for mentioning that. Okay, so that wraps up our Tuesday talk. Doug, thank you so much. This was an awesome conversation. I appreciate you, and I know our listeners do as well. So thank you for taking the time.
Thanks, Jen. Take care,
Okay.
everyone.
All right, bye. Thank you.